The first cry he heard was not from a broken engine or a snapped fan belt, but from a child's soft, trembling breath leaking through a half-open car window under the harsh white glare of midday sun. And in that instant, Armand Hale knew this simple roadside moment would change the course of his entire life forever. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and the quiet miracles that happen when hearts choose compassion, take a moment to like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel Light of Kindness right now, because stories like this remind us that even in the most ordinary afternoons, extraordinary love can be born. Armand Hale had not planned on stopping that afternoon. He had just finished a long shift at the local auto garage, his hands still stained with oil and his shoulders heavy from years of responsibility. Yet something about the small silver sedan parked awkwardly at the side of the rural road caught his eye. The hood was slightly raised, the thin smoke curling into the bright blue sky, and the heat of the day pressed down like an unspoken weight. Armand pulled over out of instinct, the kind that had guided him ever since he became both mother and father to his young son, years ago before life stole that innocence away and left him a widower who learned to exist on quiet endurance. As he approached the car, he noticed a young woman seated inside, her face pale from worry, trying to comfort a little girl in the back whose eyes searched the world with silent fear. The woman's name, he would soon learn, was Maribel Cruz, and the small girl clutching her faded blanket was Isla, a soul far too fragile for the harshness life had given her so early. Armand gently checked the engine, realizing a simple fix could get them back on the road, yet Maribel's hands trembled when she tried to offer payment, explaining in a soft voice filled with exhaustion that money was tight and she was already late for a hospital appointment. Something inside Armand shifted as he remembered all the times strangers had turned their backs on him when his own world crumbled, and he shook his head, choosing instead to help without expecting anything in return, speaking with calm assurance that this repair was on him, not because it earned him praise, but because kindness deserved no price tag. The afternoon sun continued its slow journey as Armand worked, sweat rolling down his brow, and while he focused on the engine, a tiny voice drifted through the open window, barely louder than a whisper, carrying words that would echo inside his heart long after the day had ended. The little girl looked at him with wide eyes full of fragile hope and murmured, almost like a prayer, that he should marry her mom because she deserved someone kind. In that second, Armand's hands froze, his breath caught, and the world around him seemed to blur into soft silence. He glanced at Maribel, who flushed with embarrassment and surprise, unaware that her daughter had spoken these words, and Armand felt the kind of sorrow and tenderness that only someone who had lost everything could understand. He saw a woman trying to hold her life together under impossible weight, balancing fear, gratitude, and exhaustion with the grace of someone who never asked for more than a chance to breathe. When the car finally hummed back to life, Armand closed the hood gently and stepped back, watching as relief washed over Maribel's tired features, though the connection sparked in their shared moment lingered unspoken, like sunlight brushing the early morning horizon. Days passed, yet the image of Isla's earnest gaze and Maribel's quiet resilience haunted Armand's thoughts as he tried to return to normalcy. His small home felt emptier than usual, the echoes of old laughter mixing with the steady ticking of time he had long accepted as loneliness. He wondered if crossing paths with them had been mere coincidence, or a whisper from fate that his grieving heart had been blind to. When, by chance, he saw Maribel again at a neighborhood market under the clear afternoon sky, his chest tightened as if the world itself had leaned forward to remind him of their shared moment. She smiled, hesitant but warm, and thanked him again for what he had done, explaining how the repair had saved them from missing an important medical checkup for Isla, who had been fighting fragile health for months. Armand listened, each word carving deeper empathy into his soul, and for the first time in years he felt his guarded walls soften, allowing the faintest possibility of hope to slip inside his once broken heart. Their meetings became gentle routines, small gestures of shared coffee cups, quiet walks, and the simple comfort of presence. Every time he saw Isla's slow but brave smiles, a protective instinct grew inside him, stronger than fear, stronger than doubt. He admired how Maribel masked her exhaustion with unwavering dedication, how she faced each day not with complaint, but with humility and fierce love for her child. The midday light often painted patterns through the leaves as they talked about life, struggles, and dreams left behind, each conversation unraveling layers of grief that Arman had buried deep within him. He spoke of his late wife, of the loneliness that followed, and of the silent nights where he wondered if life had forgotten to leave space for happiness. Maribel listened, not with judgment but with understanding, as if recognizing the same wounds mirrored within her own soul, and in that shared vulnerability, something sacred began to bloom quietly between them. Yet, as tenderness grew, so did doubt. Arman questioned whether he deserved another chance, whether opening his heart would only lead to another shattering loss. He feared becoming a memory once again, feared being a fleeting light in someone's storm only to fade when needed most. But every afternoon sun they spent together, every gentle glance and every moment Isla clung to his hand for comfort seemed to anchor him closer to a future he never thought possible. Life tested them with hospital visits, financial worries, and the relentless pressure of single parenthood. But within those struggles, Arman discovered strength, not from pride, but from compassion. When Isla began to call for him during her moments of weakness, her trust gave him courage, and her laughter filled the void